All right, so I'll just recognize a few persons on the platform. On Google Meet, we have Chinonye Okorie, Udo Ekop, Sunday, Andy. Okay, so some of us mentioned that we would want to learn the nitty-gritty of facility management. Some persons want to learn about quality management, better ways to improve as a facility manager. Looking forward to understand the concept of facility management and what their impacts are in the place of work. So that is the response we have from those that are online. All right, thank you. I hope with this little icebreaker we just did, we've gotten to know a few persons around us. Okay, let me just use this moment to introduce myself. My name is Faith Ekiyoyo. I'm the head of corporate services management, Max-Migold Limited. We would want to invite our facilitator now. In the course of the training, we'll also get to know your names. So the moment we'll be calling persons to answer questions, or you want to ask a question, those that are here physically, it will be important for you to say your name so that we can move ahead with that. So we have someone here, Evidence Igbinoba, who has experience in HVAC system. I guess we didn't follow the instruction I gave. You're supposed to shout Max-Migold when you have your paper filled up. So right now, I don't have anybody because nobody shouted Max-Migold. So even if it's complete, no winner. Thank you. All right, so we invite our facilitator, Daniel. So we invite Daniel to read the citation of our facilitator.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning, those online. So I'm reading a citation of our facilitator, Mr. Paul Erubami. Mr. Paul Erubami is the CEO and MD of Max-Migold Limited, a specialist facility management company providing management, technology, value-added and cost reduction solutions to the property and facility management industry, including FM software and IBM, recruiting, training, audits, assets, and energy management. Paul Erubami is a founding registered trustee of the Association of Facility Management Practitioners in Nigeria, that's the AFMPN, and served in the Pioneer 2021 and 2022 National Executive Council as the Deputy President. He is also the current president of the AFMPN. Max-Migold is a frontrunner in FM education in Africa and delivered training to over 2,000 professionals across the continent through the free Giving Back training series and the comprehensive FM Mastercard Diploma program that delivers internship placements as part of the package. Paul is a chartered member of the Royal Institute of Surveyors, is certified facility manager of the both International Facility Management Association and the Institute of Workplace and Facility Management. He teaches the essentials of facility management professionals, sustainability facility professionals, and is certified facility manager, credentials with FM learning systems, programs for IFMA. Paul is an industrial and business process engineer, real estate and property manager with 20 years experience working in strategy implementations, operation systems, and process deployment, and also a change in management of oil and gas, telecoms, and corporate real estate. Apart from running a successful FM company, Mr. Paul also serves as an adjunct lecturer in the Masters in FM program at the University of Lagos, Nigeria. He is a graduate of architecture, have a postgraduate diploma in economics, as well as an MSc in industrial engineering and operations management from the University of Nottingham, United Kingdom, and currently working on a Doctor of Business Administration degree in entrepreneurship at Walden University, USA. He managed some of the largest FM portfolios in Nigeria and also worked abroad for a few years, including the Church of Christ Latter-day Saints, Shell Nigerian Projects, Scott Begum, Nigeria, Nokia Solutions, and Network Africa Hub, Halliburton Ghana, and among others. He has a dedicated work ethic, demonstrated by his commitment to the FM industry and practical approach to resolving issues. His peers and superiors acknowledge his positive attitude and team-oriented ethics. Mr. Paul has a natural inclination to guide and mentor aspiring individuals in attaining their career objective. He's intensively driven when it comes to finding FM solutions. Additionally, Mr. Paul Erubami is a devoted Christian and is contentedly married with lovely children. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Okay, so who has been to any of our training before? Just by show of hand. Any of our training? Okay, that's good. Okay, who has encountered me anywhere? Online, training, or in any kind of class? Anyone? Okay, thank you. Quite a few. Online, I would like to know online if you have been to any of Max-Migold training, free training, paid course, or you've seen any of my class sessions online, YouTube or anywhere. Just show by the uplifted hand. I would like to see how many people. Okay, there's one here, two here, more. Good. Those online, I would like to see how the hands are going up. Can I have one of the screens up here and one here? Or is it possible to have the Teams audience and the Google Meet audience up for a minute? While that is going on, you heard my bit of my profile, and you probably were thinking, oh yeah, this is okay. Let me ask you what you were thinking when you were hearing my profile. Tell me by yourself. What were your thoughts when you read my profile? Anyone? Pardon? Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Well learned, right? Okay. Oh, fantastic. Pick that up, yeah? Thank you. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. I wanted to do that because my goal, my mission in life is to be the best I can be and replicate myself. So in today's session, you're going to be hearing some of the things that's going to put you on the path to something that you can carve for yourself. Not replicate me does not mean become exactly what I have been, right? But become someone who feels a sense of accomplishment in a career path. And so the three sessions we're going to be covering today, pointer. Three sessions we're going to be covering today are going to take you first into understanding the industry we are in. So when we say facility management, there's usually that, what is it? Not many people know about facility management at all, right? But we've all encountered facility management. And to be honest, 1 in 5 of us have worked in facility management, whether you knew it or you didn't. Because global research shows that 26% of the workforce are already working in the built environment in facility management. By the time we begin to break that down, you will see the kind of opportunities we're talking about when we say facility management. So that's the first thing we're going to do. The second session we're going to have later on is by far the most impactful, because that's a session that's for everybody, not just for facility managers. Too many people have missed their way in life. from primary to secondary to tertiary institutions, we have wandered. We basically just drifted. Some people are in jobs 5 years, 8 years, and they are stunted professionally, career-wise. In fact, many people are working today who don't even know what profession they belong to. So when we get to session 2, the facility management career planning, I want you to pay attention, take notes, and above all, make decisions in your notes. Action statements. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Make those decisions while you are hearing what we're doing. How many of us already know we are in facility management today? How many of us already know we are in facility management today? Quite a few. Please, I need to be getting the count when I have people online put up their hands as well. I have just about 3 people in this room out of about 30 who already know, okay, 4, 5, yeah, who already know that they are in facility management today. Fantastic. I want to also know that ratio of the guys online. Raise your hands, just let me know if you already feel you are in facility management or whether you think you are not, all right? So I need to get a count from those of you on the console, okay? In session 3, I'm going to give you something practical, real, tangible, that you can take back to work. Because many people are doing facility management and they wonder why they are still being paid peanuts. Somebody's in a job doing facility management in Lagos and is earning 60,000, 70,000, 80,000. And it's probably been like that for 3 years. And he's wondering, what exactly is going on? I heard people come to me and say, Mr. Paul, you're not paying FMs well, despite the good work FMs are doing. I said, no. Nobody will not pay you well when you are delivering value. You know why? It will be that employer's loss. Because when you start delivering value today, other employers are noticing. Do you know that? Do you know that, guys? But when you are doing your job like, how much are they paying me, safe? Mentally, you have brought yourself below the level of what your earning is, isn't it? And as such, you're not doing anything extra. So don't wonder that you're not earning enough. Please don't wonder, because you only get what value you give in exchange. So today in session 3, I'm going to give you some specific value you can take back. Something that when you go to work on Monday, you will say, this thing we used to do, we're not doing it this way again. There's a better way to do it. And the moment you start doing it that way, you begin to see and hear about what? Recognition for the changes and improvements you are bringing on board. So today might be a free training, but you're not going to come into a free training and just hear things that you cannot put to work. I gave you number 1, I'm going to show you the opportunities in FM, right? That's number 1. Because I'm going to break down the scope of facility management. Number 2, I'm going to give you something that is going to be valuable to you. You could be 30, 40, 50, 60 years old today, and you can still make a career change, a career move now that will make the next 5 or 10 years of your remaining years of your career extremely superb. So please, session 2 is very important. All the mistakes you've made with your career in the past, you can fix just by listening to that session 2. And then session 3, for those who are already working in FM, you are going straight back to work to do something differently. And for those who didn't think they were in FM, you'll begin to see that you're already in FM. And then you're going to make impact in your workplace immediately. So that's my promise for today. Does that sound exciting? Does it look like something you came here for? It does? Okay. There are going to be a few activities as we go. I would encourage you to participate in the activities, because what we do in Max-Migold is not theory. We don't just talk. We get you involved. We show you. We demonstrate. We make you think. We make you come up with solutions on your own. So there's going to be a few activities as we go. I want you to dig in and make good use of it, okay? And for those of us who are online, we're going to have polls that we're going to also put out. I hope we have our phones here as well. Yeah, so you can scan a code and also be part of the polls, those of you who are here physically. So in terms of how the session is going to go, we're going to have, let me see the agenda, give me that. We're going to have, thank you. So after my session, a bit of icebreaker activity, question and answers will follow. We're going to have another session from me, that's session 2. Then we're going to have a panel of discussion from people who have gone through the FM Mastercraft Diploma. I'll talk about that in a bit. And then we're going to come back to session 3, where we're going to have the FM strategies. And then we're going to have another poll. And we're going to have closing remarks just before 4 o'clock. In 2015, we looked at the Nigerian built environment. Sat down with my team, and we realized that facility management, the adoption of facility management as a profession by individuals who work in the industry was less than 5%. We also noticed that companies who were doing facility management with facility managers, yeah, so you could be admin, logistics, internal services, corporate services, HR, procurement, whatever they call you in the organization, you are doing facility management, but not as facility manager. So the companies that were actually having facility managers doing facility management were less than 3%. Now, the third thing we found out was facility management ideally should be an outsourced service. So if I run Eco Disco or Zenith Bank or Lagoon Hospital or Keja Airport, right? My business is supposed to be focused on the core of why I was set up, isn't it? I'm supposed to get professionals and companies in facility management to handle facility management. We realized that less than 4% of companies were actually giving out FM as contracts. So let's look into it a little bit. Why is this the case? Why do we have these 3 scenarios? The first thing that came to my mind was, let me not tell you what came to my mind. Let me ask you, why do you think this is? Yes. Yes, people were carrying out the function. So, well, the company didn't feel there was any loss, isn't it? Yes. What kind of under development? Very good. Yes. Bullseye. Bullseye. Not only were the organizations ignorant about facility management as a profession, we did not have the capacity. Think about it. If every local government were to employ just 2 or 3 facility managers to manage public buildings, and every organization were to employ 1 facility manager for every of their structure, we'll be needing close to 500,000 facility managers urgently, like immediately. But my estimation, we had less than 10,000, as big as Nigeria is nationwide. I'm talking of 10,000 who at least know that they are facility managers. I'm not saying 10,000 who have been trained in facility management, who have covered the body of knowledge, who are using FM processes to deliver on the managed services. No. I'm talking of less than 10,000 people who just know that what I'm doing is related to the built environment. Out of that number, less than 2,000 have actually been trained in one form or the other. So let's establish the gap. Urgently, 500,000 professionals are needed, right? And 2,000 have received training in facility management, with another 8,000 who recognize themselves as FMs who have not been trained, and some 40,000 who are working the job like you said, but don't even know they are doing FM. So if we take that 2 plus 8 plus 40, that's 50,000 facility managers in a requirement of what? 500,000. I'm going to situate this so that by the time you start talking about facility management and you're asking, why is this man even talking to us about FM? Why is he trying to encourage us to become FM? The opportunities are unimaginable. They are huge. Which organization do you know that does not use some form of buildings? Is there any? Well, if it's not habitable, that means they're not using it. The building is even there. Is there an organization without a building? We live in some spaces as residences. We work in some spaces in different kind of jobs, right? Every activity of human beings depends on spaces which require certain services to make them functional. And this is provided by who? Facility managers. So if I take an estimated 2 million institutional buildings and estates, even if we meet the urgent need for 500,000 trained professionals today, by today I mean in the next 20 years or 30 years, if we are very aggressive about every of us getting involved, right, we'll still have a gap of more than 80–90% untouched. Now, that is only for the buildings that are already in existence. Have you driven along all of those Lekki axes to the right or to the left and you see estates that are sprawling? At any given time, we have more than 1 million buildings coming up. Waiting for who? Facility managers. Let me now bring that to the kind of careers, the work that we do. Many of us go to school and read something. So let's go quickly in the room. What did you study somewhere? Building, education, estates, engineering, building, electrical, philosophy, engineering, banking, public relations, engineering, business, public, estates. Come again? Business, industrial relations, security management, building, facility, biz, estates. Come again? Guidance and counseling, fantastic. Public admin, microbiology, HVAC technician, engineering, electrical, sociology, biz admin, economics, Transport management. I read architecture. In previous classes, if I do that online, guys online, I would like to know what you studied as your first degree. You have lawyers. You have accountants. You have all types of engineering and sociology and social sciences, all types of sciences in the room. Let me tell you what we did with those tertiary or secondary degrees. We were earning a discipline. A discipline is input. When we come out of school, we begin to work in an industry and we begin to participate in a profession. Are we together? So an engineer received that discipline of engineering, but when he comes out, he can go into manufacturing as a profession. He can go into facility management as a what? Profession. He can go into aviation as a what? Profession. Are we together? Professions are what we give. These are what we do. These are the kind of values we give to society. If you came out of school and you kept hanging on to that discipline, I'm a educator, you may not be able to look around you and see the professions that have opportunities. So many people miss the point. They hang on to discipline and then they miss the profession and they end up not having any footing. Now, this is a tragedy worst of all. You found yourself in a profession like facility management by chance. It just happened that they saw that you were very meticulous in keeping costs and watching for efficiency and making sure things don't go wasted. They say, you know what, just go and be managing this group who are, because these technicians, they can ruin this place if you are not careful. Let's have somebody who pays attention to what they are doing. So you go and coordinate them. You found yourself in a profession by chance. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you made a little money and you went back for a master's in microbiology. At that point, it's progress, isn't it? I had a first degree in microbiology, so I should go and get a master's in microbiology. Boy, what is happening? Your discipline is now working you out of a profession, and at the end of the day, you'll be useless career-wise. Because what's going to happen? The time you're going to have promotion or you're going to interview for another job, they're going to ask you, how long have you been around doing this thing? Oh, I've been doing it for like 5 years. Okay, but you've not gotten any training, certification in this area. Oh, well, I was doing my microbiology master's. All right, that doesn't apply here. So I can't employ you or promote you. So in FM profession, you are stunted, right? And then you'll be like, after I'm in microbiology, let me see if I can apply for microbiologist positions, right? With a master's, you should get a job, isn't it? So you applied. Come for interview. Oh, so you've done your first degree 7 years ago and you've done a master's now. Where's your experience? Right? Where's your experience? Oh, I spent my experience doing facility management, right? It was just temporary. I knew I was going to leave it soon. So this is my real, sorry. We can't bring you in because you messed things up for us in the lab. So where do you find yourself? Neither here nor. Okay. So What does facility management do? We provide support. And what kind of support? Spaces and services. And why do we do it? Improve the livelihood of the users and the productivity of the built environment or the organization. So in essence, every organization that exists for a purpose, they want to achieve. Give me one organization. Let's talk about what organizations are really looking for. Let's take a bank. What are they looking for? Deposits, right? They want to give out loans. You know, we used to think that banks should be happy to give out loans and they won't stress us too much because that's the only way they should be making money. But when you go and ask for a loan, what do they do to you? They turn you right and left and you end up going empty-handed. You're wondering, how else do they really make their money? Well, I don't know. But ideally, they should be trying to give you loans, even begging you to take credit cards and the rest, right? That's their core business. That's why they were formed. So if somebody tells you that you are a support function, your job is a strategic enablement of the achievement of that core function, what exactly will come to your mind? I think one of the things that will come to your mind is, I have to understand what they want to achieve first, right? So that when I'm providing the support function, it will be useful support. The services will be useful to them, right? I will not be obstructing. I will not be frustrating. I will not be, slowing them down. You will not be one of those that would say they should, they should wait. We are servicing generator this morning by 10 o'clock. So even if there's no light, everybody should just calm down. You think what I just said? It's not normal for many, right? They should calm down. Pens down. We are fixing the gen. When we are done, we can now go back to work. Sounds very effective, isn't it? You see, that is a case of obstructing their progress in the name of doing what? Your job. We don't come to work like them. We don't come to work with them. We don't come to work as them. We come to work for them because of. Did you get that? So the core business is here. I am the support function, right? Which is the non-core. But without me, they cannot thrive. They cannot survive. Are we together? Yes. So I provide all that it takes for them to survive and function and thrive and excel and grow. Do we get what I'm saying at all? I'm talking about the business now. So whether it's an estate, whether it's a church, whether it's a bank, whether it's an airport, whether it's a hospital, my first role as an FM is to understand why they exist and what they need to thrive, survive, and excel before I get to how I will deliver it. Give me a marker. Let me write this down. I've given you why, right? What was the next one I gave you? Because I want to know whether you're paying attention. And then, right? Good. If I don't understand why the business exists, can I provide anything? If I understand this, it means that I understand strategy, not of what I do, but of the organization. I understand the business model. So I understand where the money comes from. I know the kind of customers they are looking for. I know the kind of conducive environment the workers will need to be able to deliver on services to those customers, right? I know the kind of reputation the organization needs to be able to attract the kind of customers it needs, right? And then this also draws into the organization's cost structure, right? They make money, they spend money. Profitability is revenue less expenses equals to what? Profit. Let me put that quickly here. Minus expenses equals to what? Profit. Okay? I probably don't play a role in revenue. I probably don't play a role in revenue. But I play a very big role where? Do I want profit to go up? Do I want profit to go up? If profit must go up, where will expenses go? Aha! Thank you. This is the beginning of knowing why my organization exists. It's just the beginning. If I don't know that, how you buy diesel will be in error. How you fix and maintain gen will be in what? Error. How you clean the building will be in what? Error. Everything you do will be error, error, error. Because the first thing you should know, you don't know. If I get into that deeply, I will get to a point where I would explain to you that every time you have a difference of opinion with top management, you have a problem with that first concept of why. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Well, procurement came about to put processes in place to checkmate FM and other buying departments. Organizations will typically allow the department to buy their services and supplies, right? But if you want to put a process in place, that process has to be managed by a third party. So procurement is there to help the FM in buying and help other departments in buying. Because, and let me be very blunt with you, FM is one of the professions where corruption is practiced at a very high level. Very high level. Most management team and middle managers who are dipping their hand in the cookie jars right, left, and center, they find it easier to do it with FM related expenses. Because we are buying like octopus. And the frequency is always, and we're responsible for the second highest overhead category of every organization. After salaries, FM procurement is the next. Accountants don't have a business with costs. You develop your budget. You work all cost savings into your budget. You lodge it in with the accountant. Once it's approved, whenever you want to procure, procurement for have gone through the bidding process and all that, accountant's job is to release money according to the budget you've submitted. They have no business with cost, to be honest. Yeah. Now, let me get back to this. Because I know why the organization exists, broken down, right? I know what it needs. Does it follow? I know what it needs. I know that if the place is cool, the staff will be able to do what they need to achieve, isn't it? If there's water, if they're not complaining, if it's not smelling, if it doesn't have, if all the points where they should plug in are all set up, they will be happy, isn't it? Then good. Then I now say, because I know what they need, I will now have to invest in what? How? So in essence, in order of importance, understanding why will help you understand what before you start looking into how. But many of us, of course, if I start with those who don't know, they're already in FM. They are busy here. Many people who are in FM are also what? Busy here. They told me to fill it in this form like this. They told me that when I check it, if I see this, this is it. If I see that, that is it, isn't it? I've been taught certain things. I've been given certain templates to work. I don't know what I'm doing in terms of the bigger picture. I don't know why I'm doing it and how it impacts on the main organization. So the example I gave you about generator, we have to service it now. You guys should just calm down. Stop working. Let's go and service generator. Will come because you don't know why or what. You're just doing how. The hotel where I stayed, where while I was having shower, water stopped. And I came to ask them, what's going on? Why is the water stopped? Oh, we are washing the tanks. All right, that's a good thing, isn't it? It shows people who know how, but don't know why. Because if I don't come to that hotel again, I don't know how many other people are making their mind not to come there again, isn't it? It becomes a case of Oga sell, Oga not sell, I'll be paid, isn't it? You are living where? Here. Your career will not move. You will not grow. And to be honest with you, too many organizations have also gone under because of employees who know how and don't know why. Okay. Put my slides back up. Do you have questions online? Those of you on the virtual, you just have to type in, right? So put your hands down, type in your comments. I would ask the guys on the console to assemble those at intervals. You bring them up for me, okay? Okay, so let's talk about what FMs do. Let's break it down a little bit. We develop strategies. We manage staff and contractors. We control budgets and costs. We ensure compliance with laws and regulations of the built environment. We ensure compliance with laws and regulations of the built environment. What FMs do? I just mentioned them. I'm still going on. Oh, okay. Don't worry. When you get online, you'll get all of this content there. So whatever you miss, you can be rest assured you get it. We ensure performance and what? Quality. Communications. How many people got a license before they started working as FM? Did you have to go and get a license? Nobody. Nobody gets a license to work as FM. There's no stamp. Just wake up and say, I'm going to be FM. You probably just, either you have an opportunity or you read one or two things, something just made you to say, I can do this now, what's there? And when you do it small, you know, there's a way your church mind can move you to do things. And people will appreciate and say, it's even better. This thing they used to buy for 5,000 before. He bought it for 4,950. He saved us 50 naira. This guy must be a good FM because of cost management, isn't it? Or he now came on board and now said, I've done inspection. I just realized that the handrail, the stairwell is shaky. It's unsafe. Let's secure it. This guy is very safety conscious. He's a good what? Facility manager. Many of us find ourselves, we stumble into the profession like that. But you know what? There were laws there are laws that govern the built environment. They are all combined in what we call the Nigerian Building Code. Nigerian Building Code is a document you can find online. Just Google it up. Just go National Building Code.pdf on Google right now. You will download the Nigerian Building Code. It has all kinds of stipulations and regulations. How to manage wastewater, how to ensure your building has the right structure and the right number of people in it, and so on and so forth. It governs all the professions that deliver on the built environment. But the most important thing is that everything it does is for the FM's eventual use. Let me give you an example. It tells the architect there must be this setback, right, from the building to the wall, to the fence. You cannot put a septic tank in this type of soil, right? It tells the structural engineer you have to put certain reinforcements. If you are going to do this, you must calculate live load and dead loads. It tells the site planner how to differentiate flows of service area from customer area in commercial places. It does all of those things. It talks about sustainability, energy efficiency. How not to waste energy in your site. You must keep to that regulations. But in all of these regulations, who is going to receive the building and manage it eventually? It's the FM, isn't it? If there is any contravention in the building code by any of these other professions, are they not going to be dumped in the laps of the FM? Of course they are. And if anybody is going to come tomorrow to say, hey, this building is cracking, that's a structural engineer's fault, right? Then. But now it's the FM that has people in the building. Did you get what I'm saying? So if the FM refused to learn about the regulations on structure and how to manage load in a space and how to manage activities, take for example, a building that is built for this. We come in quietly, we sit down, we talk, we stand up, we stretch, we sit down, and we don't come in with mortar and pestle, right? To pound fufu or pounded yam, right? This building was designed for this. If we now say, okay, let's have a cooking practice, all 40 of you, bring your mortar and pestle, arrange it around there. Let's see the fastest to pound this tuber of yam. Did you hear what I just said? At that point, it's no longer the structural engineer's problem. Oh. It's now the FM's role because you are in charge of occupancy, isn't it? Sometimes you probably just say, oh, you know what? The first floor is vacant. Well, let's rent it out. The guy who is renting it out, he says, I'm a spare parts dealer. I want to be saving spare parts inside the place. You say, no problem now. He starts bringing engine blocks. By the time he saved 2,000 engine blocks on the first floor, he stacked them from floor to ceiling. Is the building still maintaining its purpose? FMs are supposed to be masters of design, of structure, of engineering, and everything in between. Okay? Okay, so strategy, planning, I just explained that. Setting policies and procedures for getting things done. You see, many of us are just doing facility management according to our street wisdom. You say, this window is broken. Go and call the FM. The FM will now come, look at it, call one vendor. Yes, Akim, come and check it. Oh, we need to change the hinge. We need to change the handle. How much? I know it's too expensive now. Let's, go and do it. Yay. FM has done this job. Is that facility management? Nope. Nope. There are a series of policies, procedures, and practices. If you don't know it, you don't know it. You have questions online? One question, okay. Pop it up, read it out.
What does
What does the
what vendor management meaning?
Vendor management is the same thing as procurement. And when you do procurement, the vendors you bring on board are going to provide certain services for you, right? Managing relationship with them is vendor management. If I give you a contract and I go and sleep and allow you to do it the way you like, if at the end of the day you come for payment, that's when I now say you didn't do it well, go and do it again. Will you be happy? If while I'm giving you the job, I did not specify the details of what you would do, and I tell you, you are the expert, go and do it with your mind, and you do it and I say, I don't like it, will you be happy? So vendor management is the whole range of services that include scoping properly, bidding properly, and managing the contract to give value when it's been awarded. Yes. 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 That's not how it works. It's a three-way relationship. The FM, vendors, procurement, FM, right? And then the users are at the top here. The users or management would decide what needs to be done. The FM could also decide what needs to be done, right? Once the FM finishes scoping, where does it take it to? It takes it to procurement. What does the FM scope? He will scope the problem that needs to be solved. He will scope the solution that he wants for it, right? Then he will specify which kind of vendor can do it. Qualification. Are we together? He will send all that to procurement. Procurement will go into the market and search for vendors based on what the FM has specified. Oh, we have this problem, according to our FM. This is the scope of solution, we need to fix it. And these are the kind of people we are looking for. He will first of all shortlist, right? Before he will not give them the scope of the problem and the solution that the FM generated to those people. They will not put in their cost. Yes, we understand the problem, we can solve it, this is price. Once he shortlists and gets the best one, what does he do? He makes an introduction. FM, we found the right person for you. Are we together here? Work with him. He can do it based on your specification. We've checked every box, and this is the best contractor and the best price. From that point, the vendor begins to relate with who? That's vendor management. Let me take it first. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Try to minimize the cost by checking the best thing that we need in the course of doing what is needed.
Okay.
According to what the manager.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yesterday I had an issue with a branch. Once we purchase this, we extract. Now our vendors, those that are handling the distribution of this, so we have to let them go for that. If that is not available, then we cannot give you a price of 1,250 so that we can minimize the cost.
Yeah.
So I think that's what the HVAC basically.
So, you know, we started, we said some companies, less than 5%, call them FMs, isn't it? The rest call them different things. You are called control officer. Interestingly, you are actually operating here as procurement. They are negotiating directly with vendors. FMs typically will not negotiate directly with vendors. You specify what you need, how much of it, everything, and you get control officers and others in procurement to handle. Okay?
I was the one who did that issue.
Yes, you raise the request.
The management, that's the operation.
Yes. They raise the request. Oh, okay. So you're operating as an FM. Okay. Okay.
So they now want to discuss with the vendor, get back to me for my corporate.
I feel you. Okay, that's fine. That's very good. What you're basically doing that made me even think you're a procurement was because you're doing budget management. You're the one controlling the cost as an FM. If you don't agree, they cannot buy it. If this vendor comes to tell them in procurement, oh, this is the least price we can give, you say no. My budget cannot cover it. We can get it better. Go and talk to ABC, like you mentioned Dangote. Go and find a receiver from Dangote and see if you can get a better deal, right? Because you want to control your costs. Fantastic. FMs also manage risk. All kinds of risk. Yes. If something happens to the building or any of the environments, you cannot say, an act of God. We didn't see it coming. No one would have ever expected that this small rain that fell will just remove the roof. That's an ignorant talk. And many people don't realize that that's ignorant. Anticipate everything. That's what risk management is. Analyze it. What's the likelihood that this small rain can remove the roof? Have you ever considered it? But you know what? We'll talk about it with mouth. But risk management is a very elaborate work. It starts with being able to play devil's advocate. Think of all bad things that can happen. Starting from the ones that have been happening recently. Light went off. The gen I worked yesterday did not work again today. Light is gone from the disco. We on gen, he refused to respond. Has that happened to anything before? What did you say? It's not my fault, isn't it? But is it your fault? It is your fault. It's always your fault. How is it your fault? You didn't do risk what? Management. You didn't take your time to say, if Sule that is supposed to wash MD's car does not come to work, and MD has to go to an important occasion with his car, what would I do? You write it down. Risk. Sule calls in sick. Impact. Right? Severity. That's impact. Probability of Sule calling in sick. Risk level. MD will be angry. It may frustrate the meeting he's going for. It could even lead to my being fired, the car not being washed, right? Mitigation. Make sure that I teach Mary, the custodian, how to do emergency cleanup just in case Sule does not show up. Or have an arrangement with a car wash down the street. So at the moment I know Sule is not coming, I've taken my MD's car for washing in that place. That's a risk management for one risk. You know, like how many risks you're supposed to plan for? Hundreds. Did you hear what I just said? Hundreds. From power to water to one angry customer. I don't realize that they are in charge of risk management. So they just act according to, if things work fine, it's okay. If it doesn't work fine, it's not my fault. And I tell you, no way. Okay? We operate and maintain our buildings. And I just said before that if you are only responding to what broke to fix it, you are not doing FM yet. So what should you be doing as FM? If you are only responding to what broke to fix it, you are not doing FM yet. What then is FM? Yes? Having a plan a set of fixed activities, checks, maintenance items, and scope items that you will do periodically. So that, let's take this for example. If it breaks, let's say it cracks, somebody was just going by and just hit it with something hard and it cracks, right? It can cause shock or fire. I have to replace it immediately. That's reactive, isn't it? Good. But if I do a regular schedule just to check if it is firm, that's not reactive, is it? Because the day I see it is a bit slack, I'll get the guys involved to come out, tighten it back. So that you won't wake up one day and somebody is trying to plug something in, the socket and the plug comes off together and you hear sparks. So the FM's job is to plan operations and maintenance. I've seen some security guards in some sites, they don't have anything like beat plan. They will just stay there. After their own is security, just stay and even if something happens behind the house, they don't have a clue what they, oh, I was in front, so I just heard boom at the back. Before I got there, they've carried something and jumped the fence and gone. Whereas you're supposed to have a bid plan and an operations plan for security that involves 9:45. I need to do my round, right? Come back, record observation for my round. 10:15, another round. It's a plan. Everything should have what? A plan. And then documentation, reporting, everything that happens, you know, all reported. Quality assurance. Quality assurance is about, you know, verifying and measuring, you know, how things are happening. There were series and series and series of complaints from different kinds of customers. But you've not been generating data on where those complaints are coming from, what are they complaining about, and what is being done about the complaints, right? You're not even able to trend to see where the complaints are going down or they are going up. And if they are going up or going down, what is causing it, so that you can know how to ensure that they keep going down, if that's your desired destination for it. No numbers. Things break, you fix. They break, you fix. And you're not keeping tab of how often they break and what kind of faults they generate when you go to fix, right? So you don't have any mean time between failures. You don't have any statistics on materials change or items fixed or anything. You don't have any information. So if you wake up tomorrow and say, oh, this AC has been giving us problem, it's always giving us problem, we need to replace it. Just approve 500,000 for us to go and buy a new one. Management to ask you, please show me how the AC has been giving issues. You don't have the details of how it broke down 3 times in January, what you did to it, what happened in February, what happened in March, the total cost that has gone into it, how many man hours has gone into fixing it. So you create a picture of what you just said that is giving what? Problem. Based on what? Facts and data. You don't have that, you're not doing anything. So we talked about contracts already. We manage contracts. You know, when you provide services for people, who decides what kind of service they will receive? You or them? How did you know what they will receive, what they want? Did you ask them? Has anybody ever done a survey to ask our building users how they want their spaces to be cleaned? People don't bother. Or after you've cleaned, how did we do with the cleaning? Were the cleaners on time? Were they looking fresh and clean? Did they clean well? Did they leave a smell? If you don't ask, you don't know. So you are just groping in the dark as a facility manager. Finance and budget. They didn't approve, they didn't approve. It's because you always want to say, bring money, let's do this. Bring money, let's do that. Have you ever sat down to say, how much did I spend last year on this? How will my plans for next year change? How will it be affected? What I think that will make my budget for a line item go up or come down, so that I can have a proper budget for next year and go to management to go and defend it. And when they approve it, get it logged on so that I'll be getting approval for every expenses, because I'll be able to link that request to an item in my budget. And I always say, I have money for it in my budget, right? You don't have a budget, you are living on anytime you need, you ask. Whoever is giving you did not have plan for you. I hope you know what I'm talking about. You did what I just said. If you go to your MD to approve spending on as it goes basis, it's whenever it has surplus in that account, you will hear approved, isn't it? Anytime it doesn't have surplus in that account, it does not give you approved. You start saying you are frustrated, isn't it? Whereas, if you give him a budget, and he knows what you will need in January, February, March, April, in a way, when he's making a decision on how to spend the money in his account, what will he be doing? He'll be making provisions for you. He'll be leaving some balances so that when a request comes, he will give you what you need. No budget means you don't need anything. Okay? You have a budget, it was approved, and then you don't know how to manage the budget. You spend, budget is finished, and then something happens. Has that happened to anybody here? You spent, the budget is for drinking water, dispenser water. You've used up the whole budget by September. And then you need more water in October. Many of us shamelessly will just go up and say, sir, we need more money for water. Something happened. The price changed. The quantity increased. People drank more water. There was too much heat. You know, as at that time, they are explaining all these ones. It is medicine after death. Yes. Yes. Yes.
How's that budget?
The FM creates its budget. The FM creates its budget. The procurement don't create budget for you. That's why you are able to tell the procurement guys, it's too expensive, we can't afford it. Are we together? We can't afford it. I hear FM say something like, oh, they just awarded the job to this landscaping contract at 4 times the cost we usually pay. And you folded your hands and say, it's not my business. It's not company money you want to waste. Continue. Because the day they want to fire somebody for that wastage, you cannot escape it. In fact, in many cases, it will be you alone for accepting it. Okay? So let's be smart. You are not only able to minimize costs, you are able to forecast costs. When prices are changing in the market, you should be able to have a look into the market and be modeling how costs are changing. There are some things today that somebody will tell me, oh, this price is this. I'll think about my last year's spending on that item and last 2 years and last 3 years. I'll do a mapping of increment against inflation, for example. I'll get a sense of whether it's within range or not within range. So even if I don't have the time to do market survey now, I will know whether that price is going to be feasible or not. And most times I challenge a price that a vendor brings to me. I look at it. If I challenge it, I'm always right. Because I'm always conscious of historical cost and changes in the system. Health and safety. Is that our job or not? So I hear FM say things like, we have HSC departments, and they're in charge of health and safety. That's a real lie. a serious lie. Because the FM's job is to be responsible for the well-being of everybody that uses your building. And that includes their safety, their health, their wellness. Okay? What the HSC guys do, those who still think that HSC is, you know, I don't know how to put it, something you should do as a career or as a profession. Yes. Yes, for the core business. The HSC that is focused on the core business, the safety of the operations of the wells and the rigs and the rest, is different from the HSC that is around our civil management areas. We manage residences, we manage offices, we don't manage FM in those sites. Do you get the difference? The safety in the core business is not the same safety in the support function. So if you are in a manufacturing plant, there is a different safety who is watching that people have the right gloves when they are walking around sharp objects, sharp cutters and the rest, from the safety of the person who is ensuring that rats don't piss around the whole place and people are not walking under suspended load or other things that are in the site. There are two different things. You are responsible for all the safety in your domain as FMs. Okay? And then the environment. We have a huge impact on the environment, and we must understand and practice sustainability as facility managers. Okay? That's a big area on its own. All right. So practicing energy efficiency, sustainability, green initiatives are all our responsibility. But you must have first of all understood FM to the level where you have moved away from the pedestrian level to start talking sustainability. If you are still at the point where it is liters of diesel you are measuring and counting the number of tissues in the store, you are not there yet. We are not talking sustainability yet. You have to elevate yourself. We manage spaces, we manage assets for the organization. Every asset and every space, in fact, every space is an asset. Do you know that? It costs money to build a space, right? So everything that is in that space and the space itself should be listed in your assets register for you to manage directly, one by one. Okay? And how you use space is key to what we do as FMs. Inventories. You have spares, you have consumables, you have different types of inventories you manage as facility managers. Accountability, what this is expecting of you. Being able to have tags so that you can be able to track how things are moving from one point to the other, or how things are being increased or reduced in quantity, are key to our function as FM. We are custodians of organization's assets. And when things reach their useful life, so we have what we call the asset lifecycle planning. Every asset you acquire needs to be pinned down to a certain useful life, expected useful life, right? Or remaining useful life if you're taking it on as an old asset. And then you're supposed to manage it to the point where you are able to, I say it has provided services for the useful life. It's time for us to decommission it and replace it. Sometimes it's not because it has reached that point we'll have to remove it. Sometimes we get to that point and say we can push it another 2 years because of its current condition. So you must know about facility condition assessments and how to determine facility condition index. Those are tools for determining whether an asset has really been used up and is ready to be removed or should be left to stay in place. And then we develop projects, construction projects, equipment replacement projects, initiative for improving our assets, all have to be managed using project management principles, are key to what we do in FM. Communication and leadership. The FM is a leader in the organization. Most FM problems that we have today are connected to poor communication. Let me give you one quick scenario. Very simple scenario. You open your office, everybody are doing fine, work is going on, the place is clean and everybody's doing fine. By 10:30, all of a sudden, power goes off from a public grid. You start the generator, it doesn't come on. You now needed to do a quick troubleshooting, like check the battery head, check this, check that. Is that what you should do first, or you should let people know what has happened first? Why? What does it depend on?
I think it depends on the facilities, it depends on the person. And why is this so? If, for instance, if they are like a data center, then you know you have a power is very key. And if you are an FM person that is an engineer as well, and maybe you work with him, which means there are certain technical decisions you can do, like the first point of you can detect. So when you get there and you say, okay, this is the issue. If that generator is down and your backup is not enough, so you should have the technical know
to deal with it. Communicate after. Okay. Your analysis, though it makes sense, is flawed. FMs communicate first. In one of the strategies I'm going to be talking about in my session 3 later today, you will see a clear outline that you can use to pop out a flash communication with enough detail. Are we together? Communicate first. Your phone will not buzz. You will focus to do what you need to do. If you fix a problem, the light now came back. Everybody now see that light has come. Should you assume that that problem has been fixed and that issue closed? What should you do next? What will you communicate? What will you communicate? There was a problem. We have fixed it. You are all seeing that the light has come. What will you communicate again? You're set up, you fell for my trap. There's a lot of things to communicate. What should be the feedback? Yes. Yes.
Encompasses, because in the process of maybe, for example, that happened to me before. So the first communication was I had a printout instead in front of the branch for any customer that wants to print that. Yeah. For now, we have a temporary.
Well, that's the beginning. There's an issue, yes.
So later, after
yes. Good.
So there was a feedback like they are okay. Because some of them are very strong like that. I'm not going to come to this branch.
Okay, good points. Now, let me break it down. We did something, isn't it? We saw there was an issue. Do they need to know what the issue is? Customers need to know. What is the cause? Customer needs to know. What we did to fix it, customers need to know. And this fix, is it a permanent fix or a temporary fix? Customers need to know. What are we having in place to ensure that this does not happen again in the future? Customers need to what? Know. Sometimes we communicate, but we communicate too little. Sometimes we communicate, but we communicate too late. Are we together? So one of the things you need to do is come up with your communications plans, have a strategy for communication, And this is not like too much grammar. Just have a list of all your stakeholders. Make a list of all the information they need to have and the frequencies they need to have it, right? And in the intersection, put your plan. I will send this out every Monday. We're going to have a meeting first Saturday of every month with the residents. We're going to have, you know what I'm saying? It's just easy. For every meeting, what should be the objective? What should be the agenda? For every email, newsletter, what should be the content? For every notification, what should be the content? That's your communication plan. You don't just wake up and do it. There's a plan that guides what you do. Do you know that if your communication is right in every site that you manage, you will not be getting questions coming your way? Do you know that? Because they know that the answer to that question is already scheduled. And I have been meticulous historically in providing the information. Why should I even bother? When I know that when I come for estate meeting on Saturday, which is the next Saturday, all the information you normally bring, you will bring to us. You even send it to us ahead of the meeting by email. Did you get what I'm saying at all? Because you have a plan. Not because somebody asked you. The moment you are asked, you have failed. Many of us are very prompt in responding, but that's a level of failure that you must avoid. Answer before you are asked, so that you are never ever asked. Good communicators do this. All right, so we're going to talk about FM career in the next session. I'm going to wrap up by giving you time to ask your questions now. So this is the next one I'm going to do. I'm not going to push it now. So I'll give you, this is 12 o'clock, right? Questions and answers. We just introduced FM. What we've done in this first session is, this is how wide FM is, right? We've also established that the need for facility managers is going to be very huge, okay? So the opportunities are high. And then we went on to talk about the different aspects of FM, from risk, customer service, HSC, record keeping, regulatory compliance, and so on and so forth. We went through all of that. Not very exhaustive, because we're not going to give you what we teach in the FM diploma in 3 months in 1 day. Are we going to be able to do that? Thank God you appreciate that. Okay. So questions? Yes. Please take questions online. I need to be seeing the questions that are coming from line. Go.
Yes. My question is, when you made mention of the budgeting in FM, now, I want to know, how do you budget for things that you are not reacting to it now? You can just foresee that it might. How do you have an accurate budget for such?
Okay, good question. How do you budget for reactive? That's basically his question. Because for the planned activity and planned expenses, it's easy to budget for. But for the reactive ones, like the roof blowing off, how do you budget for it, isn't it? 2 things on generating the line items. 1, what reactive issues have you faced historically? Last year, how many things did you react to? How much did you spend on each one? Last 2 years, last 3 years. That's the first indicator of what you should plan for reactively. Because if you've not been keeping record of the window breaking fixed, the generator battery terminal failing, you have to go and get a new battery, or buying fixing the terminal, or lights electricity fuses burn out and stuff. If you've not been keeping record of those, you will have one problem. That's one. Now, the second thing is, as your building is getting older, the likelihood of things breaking is supposed to be what? Increasing, isn't it? That second thing is what we call your risk management plan. We defined it before. pick every item and say, what is likely going to fail? If it fails, what's the impact? What am I going to do to mitigate the impact, right? For my risk management plan, I will pick all the high risk items, because when I put a mitigation plan, I will have a risk budget, isn't it? Are we together? I will have a risk budget. If this fails, this is how much it's going to cost me. If this fails, this is how much it's going to cost me. For my standby for this is how much I'm going to have invest in that, right? All the ones that are going to be reactive from that risk budget, I'm going to pick them and put them in my reactive plan. Now, I may not spend up to what I planned for reactive. I may spend more. So it's not so much about 100% accuracy, but make sure that, one, you are as close to what you budget in your expenses as much as possible by using data from these two sources, your risk plan and your historical spending. Are we together? And then when deciding the prices for each of the items, please refer to inflation numbers, for example. FMs don't know that they're also supposed to be economists. Exchange rates. The things that we're buying in the market for 25,000 when the exchange rate was 600 naira compared to the price in the market now when the exchange rate is 1,200, they're not going to be the same rate, isn't it? It's not going to double, by the way. Did you get what I said? It's not going to double. But if you have the exchange rate of 2021 and the price in 2021, exchange rate of 2022 and the price in 2022, exchange rate of 2023 and price of 2023, you should be able to use a projection to forecast the exchange rate of 2024 and the price in 2024. Did you get what I'm saying at all? FMs need to be more analytical. We're not doing enough right now. Next question. Yes. Interest, yes. Interest, exchange, inflation. Yes. Ask their question. Well, let me get this one first. I'll get to the online. Yeah. Okay.
When you were saying the FM, in terms of scoping for vendors, looking for vendors, the procurement does the sourcing of the vendors and give it to the FM. Why not with the experience of the FM, why not the FM do the source for the vendors? These are the people I've worked with in the past and so. Then give it to the procurement to.
Good idea. Corruption is the answer. See, this is my industry. I defend FM with my blood, right? But I cannot fail to call out our major problem. Corruption. So this is what he does. There are two ways he does that. One, specify the work that needs to be done and the pre-qualification required for the vendor as tightly as possible to point procurement in the direction of your vendor. For some organization, you are allowed to suggest vendors to procurement as part of a wider pool, but you don't have the choice or the decision on who procurement will work with. You look at what I'm saying? It is just to curb the corruption in the industry, so that one person is not the judge and the jury in his own case. You decided what needs to be done, right? You decided which kind of person or vendor can do it. You should not also decide a particular vendor. Exactly. Because if all those controls are off and you are given all the power, problemo. All right.
So, I understand it just that carrying out repair of damage is not really FM activity.
Then
In such situations, what activities have you carried out? And if it should be an FM-based activity, how do one go about it?
Okay, so carrying out reactive, when I say not FM, right, does not mean that FM don't do reactive work. It means that if that is all you do, you are not yet an FM because you don't know FM. Your primary job as an FM is to work in such a way that there are no reactive jobs. Did you hear what I just said? That is called proactive FM. Right? Proactive FM works in such a way that things don't break down and people don't have to call your attention to anything. Are we together? But even the best proactive FM will still find up to 20% reactive, right? To 80% proactive. This is standard still. Are we together? Which means in your midst of your plans to make sure nothing breaks, if things still break, you will still be able to what? React to them. So the question is, what should we be doing as FM? Our job as FM is to have proactive plans to ensure that things don't break that call our attention for reactive. But when reactive happens, as a minority, we can deal with them swiftly because we have covered most of them in the proactive access. One more question.
How do I manage a stubborn client? How do you also manage an
I want to know the name of that guy.
escalation caused by procurement due to negligence?
I need the name of that person. Spell the stubborn for me. I've not used this word for a long time.
SUT.
STU.
Double, yeah.
Wow.
Should I ask the follow-up questions?
I want to know his name first so that I can tell him that he is stubborn. No customers are stubborn. And by the way, none of your customers can be described with any negative adjective. Write that down. None. If you feel so convinced that there is a negative adjective that describes any of your customer, write that in your forehead first. Identify yourself before you apply it. It's good. Rude. Write rude here. What's your name? What's your name? Let me your name, Joe. Collins, Abi. Collins is rude. So you cannot describe Mr. Jimo as what? Rude. I read the question.
Sorry, hold on. How do you also manage an escalation caused by procurement due to negligence of an overdue vendor's payment being shifted on the FM site?
Now, it's a little bit of a complication in that question. You know, if you had a budget that was approved, finance would have made provisions for those spending. If you didn't make a budget that went through an approval process, finance and procurement are basically struggling. Payment of vendor is not a procurement issue. It's a finance and accounts issue, a treasury issue. The company manages a cash flow that did not account for your own needs. So whenever there needs to be an expenses from your end, they struggle to shuffle to meet it. That's where it lays on the feet of the FM first. Now, if the FM has had a budget that has been pre-approved, the FM needs to also check on the inflow cycle of the organization. You know that if you manage a school, there are school fee season. Do you know that? In school fee season, there is money. So if you tap into your projects or your activities or payments in school fee season, there's likely going to be what? Pay. But if you sleep on your wheel and then you allow the season to pass, you now want to ginger the activities to happen. By that time, they have used the money to increase salaries, paint the whole buildings, and do things that, because the money was available, proprietors can just wake up and spend it. And you refuse to tap into the season. What happens to you when you are serious later? Come back later. You see, why did I establish this first in this session today? You must know your why before you can know what and how. That's the second reason. The third reason, some organizations would delay a vendor's payments even when they have money, just because there is suspicion. A contract that seems bloated, a contract that looks like if there is exchange of money between the FM and the vendor, a contract that looks as if the vendor have not done enough to justify the money he's going to get. There may be some kind of tardiness in response to his payments. It's almost natural. And the FM can watch all of this. Now, if every of the T's have been crossed and the I's dotted from the FM's end, and vendor payments are being delayed, ask the FM what efforts he made to ensure that there was a proactive attention to that vendor's payments. I've seen situations where the vendor will send this invoice for payments and nobody follows up on it. If you don't have concern for your vendors, by the time they start screaming, I've not been paid for more than 2 months, that's when you now remember. In fact, most FMs remember that the vendor has not been paid when it was time to use the vendor again. Vendor says, no, if you don't pay me that last one, I'm not doing this one. You rush. Maybe that time there's no money. So that escalations, FMs can help to minimize it by being proactive, okay? Yeah.
Let me read these two questions together. Is FM responsible for market survey or procurement? Please, how do one create a job plan or checklist?
FMs do market survey. Procurement do market survey. When does FM do market survey? When he's budgeting. Okay? When does procurement do market survey? When he's doing bid evaluations to compare what people are submitting. So both of them must do. Is there a checklist for? Oops. Has he taken the FM diploma? Okay, please respond to him online. Let him know that he needs to take the FM diploma so that he knows how to create the checklist. Okay? All right. Let me take his question. How will be up before?
I just want to say that
Coffee, you should be ready.
based on the knowledge that I can take
Okay. You ready?
Piece of every organization.
Yes.
Because from everything you've been saying, I can deduce a lot that I've been doing recently without knowing that I'm an FM person. Yes, starting from everything in my branch, everything, including the waiverisim of the employee that I work with.
Yes.
I look just like yesterday, me and my BDM, we called one of our customer care rep. That first thing you have to do is that your countenance must not betray the word of your mouth. Attending to our customer, we don't want you to, for professionalism, using pidgin when the person was speaking good English is totally wrong. You are not presenting us well. So we try to call our attention to that.
Yeah.
That if the customer is speaking Yoruba and you cannot understand Yoruba, first try that little Yoruba that you understand and just talk to the BSM to help you out. If the BSM also understand Yoruba, if the BSM, there is a lot of people in the bank. So, and even coming to work environments, just like the building and everything. Now, my branch wants to move from where we are presently. Though before there was an option for buy to purchase the building. So what we are looking at, they asked me, what do you think about this? I said we can that we can divide the building into two, but we have to look at the security aspects, because for a bank, you cannot have a building with a place whereby your assets and everything is not secure. So I always do asset verification.
Good.
Like I have tag in all the assets I have in my
Very
branch.
good.
When you are moving something, you have to give me a movement slip.
Very good.
That's what I call it.
Very good.
So I tried. So, but I don't know that I'm an FM. So I thought that was just a control. So I think I'm using the word stubborn and everything. Even when customer comes to my branch and they were furious about a particular transaction, I used to have a man that would come and bullshit, you're crazy and everything such as that. So sometimes I try to talk to the man, but I will ensure that the man has calmed down a little. Talk that, sir, we really apologize. We understand what you feel. You do this. So I think that using of stubborn or a customer being rude can never happen once you know your job.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Last question.
Maintenance. Okay, thank you. Is it heavy maintenance that the procurement has to be the one to speak with the vendor? Like, for example, now looking at this environment, let's say we need to fix these curtains now. It's a minor thing. Now, does it mean that the procurement will still have to be the one to call the vendor to fix something that's
Company policy? Company policy. There are some companies that have a threshold for things the FM can do from his petty cash. So you have like 100K, small sketching of 5K, 10K. Let's just do it. You go and buy one carton of tires, 5,000. Give the guy 5,000 to fix it, right? That one is if company gives you that threshold to operate. But there are some companies that don't give FM any petty cash, working for nothing. Anything you need, procurement. Policy. All right, welcome. I thought I said that was the last question. Okay, let me take this one as the last one. The only exceptions I give when I've said this is the last question is if it's coming from a lady. Because they are an acute minority. Please, before you ask the question, I want to know how many ladies we have here. Please stand up. Please just stand up because tell me your names. I feel a bit embarrassed. What's your name? Aminat. Come again? Eden, okay. Thank you. Welcome. Similain, please sit down. What's your name? Tekina, yes, I know you. Motola, welcome. That's fine. So before your question, I want to find out from the ladies here, why are you here? If you enter a place, you don't see your kind. It will look like, why exactly? What am I doing here? Eden. Have you encountered other women who are thriving in the midst of men? Yeah. Simi, have you encountered women who don't want to work in the midst of men? What reason do they give? Is it about the men or about the job? Give me your experience. Have you worked in FM or any related tasks before? Yeah. You know the worst parts of this, why I find it a bit ironic is my best FMs are women. Yes. Guys, it's the truth. FM is a caring job. They are naturally better at caring. FM is a people's job. Men are more focused on things than people. It's true. Men are machines and buildings focused. Women are more focused on people than things. Till now. And despite my efforts in trying to bring as many women into this as possible, I still get these very, low numbers. Okay, so I'm going to make you guys the ambassadors, right? Please get other women in. Okay? Get other women in. To be honest, in terms of how quickly I promote people, it's easier for women to fly to the top fast in our industry, because customer recommendations will be very high. If you are focused on them and you are doing, the customer may not even care whether you know whether there is resistor or contraceptor inside the AC. It doesn't care. But he just wants to know that the AC is what? Cooling and is comfortable. Whereas, no, for real, a woman would be about, are you comfortable, right? A man would be, did you hear any noise? Is the water dropping? Where is it dropping from? Yes, sir, your question.
Assuming a customer enters and
Yeah.
making noise,
Yes.
a security guard was
Ask the come and walk customer out.
to walk him out.
Yes.
What will he do as FM?
Okay, good question. See, if an angry customer scenario is your first experience in life with such an angry customer, then you are excused. If you have experienced an angry customer before once and it happens again, you have no hiding place. There's no justification. It means that you did not do your root cause analysis the first time it happened. You don't include in your risk management plan to ensure that you have a way of preventing it from happening again, as well as having a plan on how to handle it when it happens now. Let me tell you something. Some customers make noise in the bank just so that they will be given some preferential treatment, isn't it? But who triggers the noise they are making? Is you, the service provider. So if you know that you have triggered them into that mode, what do? You give them the preferential treatment. You don't get what I'm saying? So the first thing is prevent it by doing your job well, communicating well. Have you ever walked into some reception where you, good morning, madam, I'm trying to, and the person ignores you for a comfortable 2 minutes. Very calm. And then when you now speak a second time, can't you say I'm busy? Please be patient. All right. Arrogance. You ignored me. Now you are educating and schooling me. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just say, please take your seat. You are forced to sit down. You start checking the time. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Excuse me. I've been sitting for 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying at all? Guys, please, your frontline teams need to understand why. They don't know why they are doing what they are doing. They don't know why they are where they are. I taught this simple lesson to a group of cleaners cleaning a church, and children ran through where they have just recently cleaned with their muddied feet. One of the guys took a stick, ran after the children. I stopped him. What have they done? See how they just soiled all this place that I just cleaned? Say yes. That's their job. Your job is to do what? Clean. Now, if they soil it, what do? You clean again. So I shouldn't be saying that. I say yes. Because you don't know that your job exists because of them. You don't. So if there are not children who will soil the floor, we don't need cleaners.
Sir, I didn't mean when I was yeah, I can give the
Get involved in everything, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yes, definitely. Yeah. That's what they talk. Yes. Yeah. Mm.
I think, like I mentioned to you, that there was a lady that I noticed that whenever she comes, even if the customer is really coming with that, and I try to call her attention.
And try to correct that scenario. Okay. Yeah. And if you get a time to fire. All right, guys, let's stand up. For just stand up where you are. I'm going to go into the next session, but I want us to just stand up and do a little bit of a physical exercise. We'll be sitting down for more than 2 hours. So we're going to do a little bit of an exercise. Okay, look at me. Keep your hands straight down like this, and then just rotate your shoulder. Yeah, like that. You see? This releases tension in your back. Yeah. Then change direction. Do it forward. Yeah. Good. Very good. All right. So just the steps. Yeah. Fantastic. Just step gently. Not too many. Very good. Awesome. All right. Okay. Sit down. Thank you. For the stomach, there's no space for it. I would have taught you. It's called plank. I understood what you mean. When plank tightens your stomach, you'll not feel hungry again. Drink water in the meantime. I think there'll be some drink and biscuits soon, but let's have this session first, okay? Yes, I want to pay attention, okay? This is a very important session. Before I get into this session, I want to talk about the Facility Management Mastercraft Diploma. Just, how many of us have heard about the FM Diploma? By show of hand. How many do you have online? I need to know how many people have heard about the FM Diploma online. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can we have the numbers who raise their hands online to say they know about the FM Diploma? I need that number now. In this room, I have, yes, you've heard about the FM Diploma, the FMMC, the FM Mastercraft Diploma. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, that's a fair number. Those online. Okay, and then on and then those on Google Meet. Okay, 20 on Meet has heard about the FM Diploma. I want to just ask 2 people from here to tell me what they've heard about it or what they've read about it. Who's going to go? Out of the 16, I need 2 people to volunteer to tell me what you've heard already about the FM Diploma. Anyone? Yes, please. Duration is how long? It runs for 3 months, and then there is an internship or practical project that runs for 6 months, right? Okay. Yes. Anyone else? What did you know about the FM diploma? We have 16 that said they've heard about it. What did you hear about it or read about it? Yes. Payment plans. What payment plans did you see? Outright payments, 2 installments, 3 months, 3 installments, and 6 installments. What did you learn about it? Exactly. There's virtual training, which holds when? Who knows when the virtual training holds? Is it Thursday, no? Virtual is the one you stay at your office and participate in. When does that hold? It's 5 to 7 in the evening. That's the time. But which day of the week? No, it holds on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 5 to 7 p.m. All right, for 12 weeks. And then the physical class holds when? Saturdays, what time to what time? 10 to 4, exactly. What else did you know about the FM diploma? Yes? Yes, there's an interest-free loan. So what we do in the flexible payments is that we take a loan on your behalf and we pay the interest for you. So what that means is that you sign up and you complete your details on a collections app. That collections app is created by Lydia. The moment you're able to finish that collections app completion of the data, we assume that you have paid in full, right? So we get Lydia to pay us in full on your behalf, less the interest you would have paid. So that when it's time for you to pay, the collection is automated. But you do not have the freedom to stop payments. Are we together? We have used Paystack. Paystack allows you to decide to stop payments at a later date. We've used Remitter. Remitter allows you to go and stop payments at a later date. But with Lydia Collect, you can't stop payment until it is fully paid up. So it is only for honest people. It is only for honest people. So if you know you don't intend to be honest, you will not sign up for it. Because the only thing it needs from you is that you use your BVN to sign up for it. So you don't have anywhere you're hiding your money. If truly, there is no money that is in any bank that belongs to you, it will not take any money. To just report back to us that, Rose doesn't have money. Anytime Rose gets money, Rose will pay. Okay? The moment somebody dash Rose money into any of our accounts, do you know what I'm saying? You are going to get 2 alerts at the same time. One is the credit alert, the other one is the debit alert. Do you understand what we're saying? So it is okay not to have money. It's not a problem. But be honest enough so when money comes, you are willing to what? Pay. So that system is automatic. So when we send it out to people who we have given information to, and we say, put in your BVN, they'll say, my BVN, maybe. My dear, it doesn't use another way. Some people don't have money, they don't have. When their BVN goes in, 26 accounts will show. 26 bank accounts. Is that a poor man? You understand? It's possible to see. That's why I say it's possible to not have money now, right? But with 26 accounts, it means that there are different. There's no reason to open account, isn't it? One, uncle dashing money from here, right? This one is salary. This one is your side also. This one is your collection for the things you do. This one is for family. Whatever you open this account for, the system will bring out everything, and you have to use a mandate form so that each of those banks will accept that your signature is the one that you normally sign for them. And by the way, when you sign signature for banks, sometime when you open Access in 2009, your signature used to go up. When you were now opening GT last year, the signature is now going down. You have to remember which signature you signed for which bank, so that you will not use the same signature. Now I hope that all the banks will honor the mandate. It will not work. Are we together? You must remember your Access signature, and you must remember your GT signature, because you sign them one by one for each of the banks. Once they all approve that your signature is correct, your account becomes active. Max-Migold takes it that you have paid in full for your training. But not everybody likes this wahala. So they just bring out the money and what? And pay. And their alerts have been coming in. So well done, everyone. So we're going to talk about the details of the courses, you know, what they're going to cover and how it goes in the session after this. After this, we're going to have a panel session from those who have graduated from the program, and then we'll now come back into my last session after talking about the FM diploma, okay? So that's how it's going to run. Are we ready for this now? Are we ready? All right. FM career planning and growth opportunities. I think I've talked about how wide, right, everything FM does, the broad nature of the profession. These are facility. You have people who are just space planners. You have people who are just maintenance officers, maintenance managers, asset managers. These are all opportunities. And it doesn't matter what the organization you work for call your title. The moment you know you are in facility management, please professionalize. Are we together? Take on professional courses and programs that gives you a designation, that gives you a credential in FM. Before I talk about the skills and competencies you need, okay, let me leave that discussion. I'll have another slide that will bring that up. You need technical skills. We know what that means, right? You need managerial skills, and you need interpersonal skills. Which one is more important for facility managers? One has to be more important. Technical skills, vote. Technical skills as the most important. 1, 2, okay, 3, 4. Managerial skills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Managerial skills, killing it. Interpersonal skills. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, managerial skills. 1. Let me put something on the screen for you to think about. What's the difference between these two words? Aptitude versus attitude. Anyone? Give it a shot. Yes. Yes. Okay. You're pushing me to one. You're pushing me to the way you think, right? Okay. Okay. 1 is work, and 1 is self. One can easily be taught, and the other one is what? Inherent. But both of them can be enhanced by deliberate efforts. You know, your thoughts can be adjusted, isn't it? I'm putting this down because some people know the job that needs to be done, but they don't just care. Can they do the job well? Can they do the job well? It's saying that people don't care what you know unless they know that you care is facility management. People don't care about what you know unless they know that you care. What you know will not be used in their best interest if you don't care, isn't it? So when it comes to the work we do in FM, pay attention to these three skill areas, but the ones that have direct impact on people should be prioritized. And if you ask me, I would number them 1, 2, 3. Why did I make technical skills the last in my ranking? It's because FM does not even need that level of technical skills because our profession is not hands-on. Plumbing, I will not use wrenches to do plumbing. I will not use screwdrivers to do electrical. I will use pen and mouse. Did you hear what I just said? Yes. And my ears. So I will hear from the customer what they need regarding water flowing, no wet floor, and all that, isn't it? I will translate that with my pen into scope of work, right? I will go ahead and find vendors that can deliver me the activities that will ensure that water flows and is not flowing on the ground, not leaking, right? And then I will supervise them using certain process documents, checklists, right? And when they have done, I will pay them and thank them for the job well done. Then I'll go back to my customer and ask, how did I do? Based on what I heard before, have I done what you need? He will say, well, yes, not so well. He will rate me, isn't it? I will do my improvement plan. I will do my risk management plan. I will make sure that when I bring the vendor the next time, I will train him this way. I will orient him this way. I will befriend him in such a way that I will try to make him care on what he's doing so that he can do it better. Did you get what I'm saying? I never handle the wrench, but I'm the best plumber. The FM is a master of all trades. Listen again. The FM is what? A master of all trades. He is not a specialist of all trades. You know what the difference is? The specialist is the one that uses the screwdrivers and they're the hands-on, right? Yes. You that is the master, you think, you scope, you supervise, you report. Strategy, planning, scoping, supervision, documentation. Okay? When I was in architecture school, we felt so proud of ourselves. Any other architect here? We feel so proud of ourselves. You know why? Let me tell you why. We feel that we're the profession that is saddled with the responsibility of understanding what everyone needs to do and providing spaces by design that meets with you. So, for example, if I'm designing a hospital, I'll have to put on the mantle of a matron. How does it want? How is the flow? How do you want the passenger, the patient flow, right? How does the workers move? Those who are moving medicines. How does the doctors see? Where, you know, I have to put on that. This is the ideal hospital. Just to do that design. When I'm done, and the next day I'm designing an airport, my life changes automatically. The excitement it knows no bound. If the next day I'm doing a hotel, everything changes again. I will read and study and visit many hotels. I remember just checking into hotels just to get a sense of how hotels run, so I can do a proper hotel design. And I thought that was the excitement of my life. But I now realized that if I did design, all that excitement, finish the design, and then release the project, they are now using it. I'm now sent off. And then I'll now start another life again. But the going from one life to the other is excitement. But as architect, it's almost like taking drugs for instant high. And then within a few minutes, the drugs, you crash again. You need to take another high again for another one. What FM gave me was I can lend in and manage a market, manage a hospital, manage a factory, manage an airport, take lessons from this one, apply it here, take lessons from this one, apply it here, understand how people think in different industry, and I'm still standing. And I'm engaging for the long haul. So if I stand here today, let me give you my experience so far. I've managed hotels. I've managed hospitals. I've managed restaurants and recreational clubs, golf courses. I've managed offices, both corporate and multi-tenanted. I've managed estates, residential estates. I've managed manufacturing hubs. I've managed logistics hubs, warehouses, transportation hubs. I have managed support for oil and gas operations on the residential accommodation side. I've managed archives and libraries in just 25 years. How fun is that? The variety, experience you gain as an FM cannot be compared by any other compared to any other profession. Okay. All right. So we talk about careers, and we just try to look at some careers that are dying. Do you know? Give me some examples. Some jobs that are dying. I like that. Okay, somebody told me that he's a driver. And I said, find something to do that everybody would not be doing for themselves in a short while. Because driverless cars, in less than 5 years, will be more than half of the cars on all roads. Yes, even in Nigeria. Let me tell you something about, listen guys, let me tell you something about technology transition. Let me give you a little bit of a history. The time it took color TV from when it was created to becoming mainstream in Nigeria was about 18 years. You know what I'm saying? Many of us still grow up with black and white TV before we started seeing the one that used Lucozade wrapper to form orange color on the face. Before you now started seeing two colors, before the normal colors now came. But fast forward down, when TVs went from boxes to flat screen, it took 18 months to become mainstream. 18 months to become mainstream. It didn't take up to 2 years to see most TVs switching from boxes to flats from when it came out over there. CRT, cathode ray tubes, TVs and monitors. My first lap computer was a cathode ray tube from a clone. I went to take that to go and clone that time, right? The swift change is now faster. Today, there is global release of new technology that as the first man is laying his hand on it in London, within 7 days, somebody on the streets of Lagos is holding it. Phones, like for example, the latest iPhones, Tesla vehicles, the latest ones, within a week, you will see it next door. So my point is, the speed at which technology transitions from invention to mainstream has collapsed. Before, when you wanted to download a software, you ask an IT guy to help you download and install your software, isn't it? Do you still do that? You know how many IT support people have lost their jobs? Let them not go and learn coding and do other things. Be doing IT support. IT support is a job that will not exist. In fact, some companies are already telling people, if you don't know how to code, we can't employ you. That is going to be stronger in the next 5 to 10 years. You know why? Simple automations are supposed to be customized by the user. Very simple automations. Many people here, as we speak, cannot create a smart sheet for collecting data on site, real-time access. But years ago, I put together a team that did an audit, a fiscal asset audit for a bank, branches. And as they were entering into sheets, no software on site, it was being seen in the office, including photographs. One team was ambushed by, what do you call them? Kidnappers around Suleja in between Abuja and Niger states. Their laptops were taken, their phones were taken, and they managed to find their way home unhurt. But we didn't lose one iota of data. Because while they were there, and into sheets, smart sheets, the information was being seen at the back end. I think you know what I'm saying. I don't need an IT professional. It's the same technicians, the electricians I sent around that did all that. I just had somebody who was an NYC intern in the office who was, collating, downloading, analyzing reports real time. So there are so many professions that are going to go under. Now, there are certain professions that will only increase with population and activity of humans. Agriculture, for example, and the built environment. As people increase, you will need to do more, isn't it? Now, let's narrow it down to us as managers of the built environment. Everything that is built is handed over to us, right? All the existing buildings will be in our hands. All the new ones as they're coming will also be in our hands. We need to grow our numbers geometrically to cope. And because demand and supply is upside down right now, the average FM who is trained and is showing value is earning 3 to 4 times his peer who read the same discipline from school the same day. So if I took an engineer who graduated in 2021, 2019, let me use 5 years. There were 2 when they graduated. One of them took facility management as his profession, studied and earned the qualification in FM and started working as an FM. The other one went to do an apprenticeship in an engineering consulting firm or started doing a manufacturing or any other engineering job. 5 years down the line, the one who stayed in engineering, his salary would have barely increased by 50% from when he started. Best case scenario, times 2, 100% in 5 years. Talking of averages now, because I have engineers working in Lagos, 5 years experience in 2 companies, they are less than 100, 120. Am I wrong? Now, I have facility managers who have taken a professional training in FM, started working as an FM, moved from 75K to 350 in that same 5 years. So guys, when it comes to the built environment, the demand right now is outstripping the supply. And for those of us who are in the industry right now, this is the time to have our foot in the door. Okay? So don't think twice when it comes to, should I be an FM, should I not be an FM? Because we don't have people in FM. But let me say we don't have people who know what they are doing. The moment you know what you are doing in FM, demand for you rises astronomically. And as such, because demand is rising, supply is not meeting it, your cost, your remuneration will also be what? Rising. Okay? All right. Now, do you want to be an employer or an employee? Employer. Okay, employer later join. You know, some of us want to start any salary now, right? To stabilize small, right? Then later we'll now start a business and we'll now employ, isn't it? So that's also part of it, isn't it? Now, most careers will go in that direction. You work for years, you gain experience, you gain network, you start a company to tap into what you've built into yourself. Whereas there are others who will take that employee route throughout and they will still be. So while other professions might struggle with most people going in as employees throughout their career, FM will not have that problem. Wherever there's demand outstripping supply, you will always have employment. In fact, if you know what you are doing in FM and you are out of work for 3 months, I will be worried. I would normally ask, what have you studied? What have you learned? What have you gone through? Okay. All right, in preparing yourself for your careers, which is better, arts or science? Okay, let's split ourselves into 2 groups now. Arts, let's know what the arts. Social science, education, put yourself in arts. All the rest, put yourself in science. Arts. Arts. Yeah, all right. Science, the rest. If you didn't raise your hand up, I don't know where you belong. I said, let's put ourselves into 2 groups. Engineering, okay, let me tell you the difference. Science is math and physics. Just the background of science is basically math, right? And everything else is arts, you know, if we're going to put in two broad groups. But what I'm trying to tell you here is whether you are arts, science, or all the classifications in between, math is compulsory. So when I'm teaching career planning, I tell people, if you didn't like math before, please find a way to like math. Because there's hardly nothing you can rise to the top in without math. Welcome. Degree or non-degree? For FM career, degree or non-degree? Okay, let me take the overwhelming majority answer, degree, only as a start. After your first degree, piling up of degrees are no longer recommended. Have a professional basis for what you are doing. Have a designation, a credential, a certification, right? They stand you out. Are we together? The reason is degrees have levels. Professional certifications is a standard. A master's degree from Unilag, a master's degree from Oshogbo, they will be competing. Which one is more, which one is less? We can say they are both Nigerian, so therefore they are degrees in Nigeria. But a master's degree from Stanford in the US, everybody will just shift Oshogbo and Unilag to one side, isn't it? Did you think what I just said? Even a PhD from Unilag and a first degree from any of the Ivy League schools, you will tell the PhD, please calm down first. Let's talk to people who know what they do. We are saying the same thing. They are saying the same thing. I personally went to a Uniport to go and do a PGD in economics. I ended up fighting with my lecturers because economics postgraduate diploma. And what year was it? We're still talking about People's Bank. We're talking about very irrelevant stuff. I started coming with my business day subscription to class. So we have important things to discuss in economics because it was embarrassing. A lecturer will bring his notebook that was written in 1998 and ask us to photocopy it and use it to study a postgraduate program. Excuse me? There's problem. So one degree to the next, to the next, to the next cannot be compared. But a certification, a designation, a credential is one. Are we together? All right. Some people found themselves in a profession by accident. You know that when they're looking at all the salespeople in the bank, for example, and there's this one that the sales number does not qualify for them to retain him. They will not say, instead of firing him or her, let's just send him to be coordinating the cleaners. Well, they didn't sack me, or they gave me something to be doing. For some, it is because they are very, very involved. Are you okay? I hope you're okay. Is your seat okay? Let me check. Okay, it's okay, okay. You're comfortable. Have you eaten? My man will say, this guy that is always carrying people like this might be good for FMO. Let's not even put advert out. So just call it, Kule, come. We have a new position for you now. You'll be caring for everybody in this building. Whether it is from poor performance, you were shifted there, or from high performance, or it is accident. The moment you get in, it will not become a tragedy if you do not recognize it and start working in that profession. So, joining professional associations, network with people, rewriting your CV to capture you as a facility manager. Begin to document your achievements in that light, and taking further training opportunities are the only things that will make it sensible after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or longer in that position. All right? So network, get to know people, get involved. And then create your plan for progress from wherever you are. Some people don't actually start planning for their progress because they believe that there is something that needs to happen first. But once that thing happens, from there they will not start planning. I had friends I grew up with. They never made any plans. The only plan was, I will go abroad. So if I go abroad, then I will not start making progress. And so they spend 10, 15, 18 years wanting to go abroad. Some will tell you, I'm in school. If I graduate, I will now decide what next. And I'm asking, you are in school. You don't have a plan now that you are in school. So you are just living life from day to day. School went on strike for 11 months. I met many university students, even final year students. What are you doing now? We are waiting for strike to be called off. You are waiting. They never took time to create a personal development plan. No goals. No goals. They didn't create goals for themselves. They didn't prioritize those goals. They didn't decide the deadlines when they want to achieve those goals. They never created a plan. Do you know what a plan is? Who knows what a plan is? Define plan. Preparation for action, okay? Projecting into the future, yeah? What to do at a particular time, okay? Yes? Goals, growth and development. Can you have a plan in your head? The answer is capital no. Until it is written down, it is not a plan. So my definition of plan is a set of answers to targeted questions. A set of answers, written down answers to targeted questions. What will I be doing next year? Is that not the question? Okay. Answer it. When I'm done with this for 18 months from next year, what will I do next? Is that not the question? Answer it. Go back to the first question. I've written down what, isn't it? Why would I want to be doing that? I've written it down. Question and what? Answer, isn't it? How will I achieve what I say I want to do by next year? Can you start studying management in university without passing JAM? Will you be able to study management in university without paying school fees? So you must also define how, isn't it? So answers to how, why, what, how, when questions are your plans. In a very simplified way. Okay? So putting an action plan in place helps you to be focused. I know of someone who's looking for work. I asked him just on Monday here, you're looking for work. Oh, what are you doing now? He said, I have done 3 interviews. I'm waiting for their feedback. When did you do the last interview? 3 weeks ago. Since then, you are waiting for their feedback. I said, 1, you're looking for 1 job. You're supposed to be doing 3 interviews every week to get 1 job. 3 interviews every week. And to get an interview, you need to have at least 30 applications, which means to have 3 interviews every week, you need to do 90 applications every week. Break that down into 5 days a week. How many applications per day? 14 or 15 applications per day. Are we together? So if I do 15 applications per day, I will have at least 3 interviews every week. So that when somebody says, what are you doing right now? You say, I'm looking for a job. You can now show your plan and how you're executing those plans. But if you are waiting, is waiting a plan? But too many people are actually waiting. My uncle promised me that when the elections are over, there will be opportunities and they will invite me. So therefore, I am what? Waiting. They told me that the industry I'm interested in, they have inflation and other issues that they are no longer employing now. They will start employing from next year when the economy becomes better. So what am I doing now? I'm waiting. So I kind of stress that you need to have your plan. I'm not supposed to be stressing that. If not that, I've seen too many people who are wasting their lives one day at a time. Okay? So ask yourself, where I am now, where am I now? Where do I want to be? How do I get there? How do I get there? I had people who wanted to join the FM diploma in 2017. Then the price was 165,000. The price is expensive. This money they are paying me of 100,000 is not enough for me to save 165 because I have school fees, I have rent to pay, and blah, blah, blah. 6 years down the line, I got a couple last year. This thing, I feel bad that it has gone this high. It's now 600,000. I said, no, don't worry. You know, the way the price of the training is going up, that's how your salary is also going up. He said, no, my salary has not changed for 3 years. How much is it? 120. He has gone up from 95 to 120 in the first 3 years and not had a change for 3 years from 120. Now you are back. The training that I should have done for 165 is now 600,000. You know what? It's not about the training. It's about how much money you could have made for each of those years, of those 6 years. Let me give you a simple scenario. 100,000 versus 150. What is the difference? It's not, it's 600,000. $100,000 versus 150. What is the difference? You're getting 100,000 a month. He is getting 150 a month. What is the difference between the two of you? Every year, he is 600K richer than you. So imagine delaying the decision for 1 year. You are behind by what? 600,000. For another year, by the way, by this next year, it has doubled. Because when you are in a profession that the demand is high and the supply is low, people have negotiating power. When I talk to negotiation, I'm talking of very serious negotiating power. Organization approached me, they offered me an amount. Should I mention it? Let me just go ahead and tell you. Oh, just leave and come and work for us. You will do this, you will do that. We've seen your profile. You can do it. We've talked to you. Blah, 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 blah. We'll give you $5,000. Say, when it did like this, as at that time, dollar was not even as bad as it is now. It was still about 160, 150. Give me 5,000. Fantastic. That sounds very good. And I say, but you're offering me 5,000. I'm already earning 850. You're not impressing me yet. The head runner said, no, we're going to, we'll just tell me what you want. I said, I can't tell you. He kept calling every week for like 1 month. The next time he called, as at that time, I already started making up my mind to move from where I was, earning 850 a month. But I didn't want to move into something that was going to take me away from Nigeria, because that's what I was trying to ask. Next, he just name your price. I said, can you give me 10? I said, okay, I'll get back to you tomorrow. Got back and said, and the hiring organization said they will pay it. Me, that should have been excited. I said, give me till tomorrow to decide. The next day, he called me. I said, well, since you are taking me outside the country, I don't want to be subject to any kind of taxes anywhere. I have to make that money net, take home. I said, okay, we'll think about it. How much do you think your tax will be? I said, I don't have a clue. So he went. A week later, he got back. I didn't even bother. He got back and said, okay, they've agreed to put something on it for tax for you. What is 800 like? Can you manage 800 for your tax? The job was to take me to Ghana. I'll be flying into Ghana every 2 weeks and coming back every 2 weeks to come and chill. I know that nobody's going to ask me for tax. The power to bargain was very strong, because they have looked at the profile of people they are looking for at that moment. And we are not too many with my kind of stack of certifications and experience. That's exactly what I'm trying to get you to start thinking. You are not competing against a crowd. And there's no age, no gender restriction in our industry. In fact, if you are thinking, I'm too old for this, I will burst your bubble. And estates invited me to bring them a candidate to manage their estates. I sent a very young chap, highly skilled, credentialed, FMP and all. He went there and then they called me back and said, look, we need mature. I said, you guys are doing ageism in your estates. He said, no, it's about people. You have to have somebody who has courage, who can, command some respect, who can talk to. That's how that young man didn't get a job. I say, novice, go back to where you are. When you are old, this estate will. Okay? You can have your plan now. My point is, you can have your plan now for whatever number of years you have left to run your career. Okay, there's no missed opportunity when it comes to FM. Besides, the experiences we have gathered in our various endeavors are all transferable into FM. Imagine an estate. They're going to have lawyers and accountants and auditors and all kinds of people having houses inside the estate. If you have experienced one way or the other this kind of people in your past, you will know how to reason and address them, because FM is about customization, one by one. All right, think about what I'm good at, what skills I have. And for FM, guys, IT skills are compulsory. Those era of both are not FM, where you are just going around and just checking things and screwing them back. That's not what we're doing anymore. FM is data, the data analytics. FM is a quality, which involves measurements and a lot of data to show alignments. FM is about technology, automations. Okay? What do I need to work on? What qualifications do I have? What can I add? Right? If you don't like exams, there's so many people that just simply will come to the FM diploma and say, look, I don't want to write an exam. We will tell you, the FM diploma awards 4 levels. You have the diploma. The diploma means that you took the course for 3 months. You did a comprehensive exam, 300-question exam that's done in 3 90-minute batches. And then you did a set of practical projects, 6 projects in real life facility. Yeah. That's what ended the diploma. Then the diploma itself has the distinction and the merit and the pass. You did all of that and your score put you in any of those ones. But then we have the FMMC certificate of training, which means you did the 3 months course and you passed the exam. That does not have distinction, merit, or it just makes sure that you pass. Out of 300 questions, you answered 200 correctly. You have passed. So it is certificate of training, comprehensive training. Then the other level we have is called the certificate of attendance. Did you hear what I just said? No, see, let me tell you something. Your tuition does not cover the certificate. It's the work you put in